Veto, noun or verb. The American president has the power to veto any law that Congress passes. On the other hand, Congress can override, seems to me we had that word, override his veto with a combined 2/3 vote. The presidential veto, noun, is a powerful tool for the president. Viable, able to live or able to move. In any case, a viable solution might work. That's the point. A viable option, an option that might work. Vice versa, let's see now, he gave her money and vice versa, she gave him money. That is, and the same in reverse. To vie, good word. To vie with someone is to compete with someone. Good. Vigilant, watchful, always watchful. The troops at the DMZ are very vigilant, or should be, and I assume are. Must be watchful and alert for danger. A vignette is a small skit, French word. I haven't heard that for years. A small skit that shows something. Vigorous, having a lot of energy. A vigorous person has a lot of energy. He made vigorous efforts, we say. The efforts have a lot of energy. Excuse me. Vile, disgusting, loathsome. Some substances seem vile. Some people seem vile. Vindication, justification. He was vindicated. This notice very different from vindictive. He was vindicated when it turned out that everything he said was going to happen happened. He was justified. Everyone said, "You were right." That was his vindication. Vindictive, vengeful. Vintage, having to do with the crop, we say, or the harvest of grapes for wine. It was a great vintage in 1990, maybe. Other years have had a poor vintage. Harvest. Virtuoso, virtuoso, Italiano. A virtuoso is a person who is very skilled at something, full of virtu. Power, manliness, but skill. A virtuoso pianist can do anything on that piano. Virtuous, very different, though the same root. Virtue we use to mean goodness. A virtuous person is good in someone's sense, follows the precepts of some church or moral philosophy. Visage, face. Good. French word visage, face. Vista, like panorama. Panoramic vista. Vista is what you see. Panorama, pan, everywhere. Broad. The vista, it's like the view almost. The vista from some mountain might be great. It's not used much like that though. Vista. View. Vivacious. Full of vitality. Lively. Good word. Vocal, having to do with the voice. A vocalist is a singer, of course, but a male vocalist, female vocalist, and so forth. But special use, he was very vocal in his opinions. That is, he had opinions and he voiced them. The implication is he talks too much or too loud. He was a vocal opponent of abortion. Talked and talked about it. Vociferous, loud, in a pejorative or contrary sense, that is, not approving. Vociferous, loud. Void. Noun, The void, nothing. Another word for chaos. Discussing that word actually a couple of days ago with a student. In the beginning was chaos. Greek myth says chaos. Koreans use this word too, I know. Chaos and void really have the same meaning, but chaos has come to mean disorder, even loud noise, social chaos, panic almost, huge disorder. Really, it means the same as the void, nothingness, vacuum, nothing. To void a check, if one writes a check, is to cancel that check, to make that check void. Voracious, devouring. We had omnivorous the other day, I know, devouring everything. Voracious, a voracious reader devours whatever he or she can. A voracious eater, of course. Devouring. Vulgar, important word. Common, but that is typical of how a dictionary often will not help a student. That is, the student reads vulgar, common, especially a cheap, small dictionary with only 1 or 2 words. And so, yes, let's say, what is common? It's common to, I don't know, drink Pepsi-Cola. Is it vulgar to drink Pepsi-Cola? No. Vulgar means common in a not very admirable sense, of the common people. In other words, educated people don't say or do this. His language was vulgar. His behavior was vulgar. Lacking refinement, lacking courtesy even. Vulgarity, his vulgarity was shocking. Wade, to wade in the water is to stand in the water, not swim. He waded up to his waist in the East Sea, as we call it. Warp. Well, all the kids know about time warps and all that. The main thing that's warped is wood. Wood, if left untreated, will bend and curve. He has a warped sense of humor, means he is amused by some things that other people are not amused by, a little strange, perhaps a little morbid. Warrant. Although the Korean currency is falling, this does not warrant a panic. That is, the fall is not so severe. Warrant means justify. Wavy hair, especially women get perms in order to have wavy hair, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Wavy hair anyway. Welder. A welder is a person who welds. A person who welds joins two metallic objects, melts some solder, I think it's called S-O-L-D-E-R, and the solder then links the two pieces of metal. Wharf is a place on the seaside where boats, yachts, and boats can dock. That's the wharf that juts out into the sea. Stakes piers down into the water, hold it there. Whimsy, related to whimsical. Whimsy, I think it's a noun. I've never used it. I don't think I would. Related to whim and whimsical. To whine, children whine when they are told no. Adults too sometimes. As we say, the N-word, meaning the terrible no word. Oh, come on, can't I do this, can't I do that? Whine. After that comes the pout with the scowl and the sullenness, to use words that we used yesterday. Whirl is to turn around rapidly. The whirling dervishes an order of Muslims, Sufis, in Turkey especially, but elsewhere too. A wonderful display of religious intensity, apparently religious intensity, but I believe it. To whirl is to turn around. He whirled around when he heard his name, turned around quickly. Wily, crafty, cunning. The fox is wily, hard to trick. Withstand, to resist. He couldn't withstand the pressure put upon him to do something, to resist. Wrath, the real name for one of the 7 deadly sins. We must be up to 4 by now, at least. Sometimes substituted by anger, but wrath. Wrath is extreme anger, a pathological anger. The wrath of Achilles is the subject of the Iliad. Anger, or better, wrath. Wreckage, the wreckage of the plane. The experts came and sifted through the wreckage to find whatever they could. Dead bodies, or valuables, or anything that survived. Yield, noun, is most important, I think. He never yielded to the pressure. He withstood the pressure. To yield to something. It can, like most verbs, as you know, VT, VI, huge percentage of American English verbs especially, have both a transitive and intransitive application. One of the great difficulties about learning English, the confusion there. It's a confused language, actually. I sometimes doubt the greatness of the English language, but there we go. And not the English language, the American language, because it's what American culture does to it that I think is not very admirable, but oh well. The yield can even mean the harvest. This is a good word, by the way. The yield that year of rice was huge. Harvest. The point is, VT, this is a good use. The land yielded a large amount of whatever the product or crop was. Yonder means over there. Dialect kind of word, kind of nice though. Over yonder, over there. A zealot is a person who is, another word, fanatic. The word has biblical New Testament background. The zealots were a group of Jewish fanatics who actually went around killing Roman soldiers, but then the punishments were terrible for the Jewish people. A zealot, a fanatic, especially in some religious matter.